The Texas power crisis has already become a partisan battleground as liberals point to the Lone Star State's deregulated power system, while conservatives blame renewable energy resources, with the Washington Examiner cautioning, quote, Texas grid trouble offers warnings about Biden's anti-energy policies. Let's debate this issue with Fox News contributor Leslie Marshall and the Examiner's national political reporter who wrote the story under that headline. She's also the author of The Great Revolt, Selena Zito. Welcome to both of you.
Good evening.
Hi, Mike.
Selena, tell us more about your take on the electricity crisis across much of Texas, shivering in that deep freeze.
Well, first of all, I think all of our prayers are out to all the people in Texas that are experiencing this. I mean, some of these images have been just absolutely terrible. And we always think of Texas as sort of this resilient, strong state that rises to the occasion under crises, not only in their own state with hurricanes, but helping other states as well. So part of the problem with what happened in Texas is we don't know everything that happened in Texas. I think it's going to be a long time before we understand what the all the vulnerabilities were. But what it does show is it gives us a window into understanding how important a strong base load is. And base load comes from natural gas, from oil, and from nuclear. And those also failed. The distribution of those failed under the pressure of this storm system. But if you shrink that base load, if you don't have a strong base load, then wherever you are in this country, there is a vulnerability, and that's sort of part of the challenge. With the long-range view of the Biden administration's outlook on climate justice and environmental justice, and so I think it's a moment for us to really have a debate about how this can impact all of us, and what do we really need to have the power available when we need it.
Leslie, how do you respond?
Well, on my radio show earlier today, I actually spoke to utility officials in Texas who were nonpartisan, and they said the facts are the majority of the power failure stemmed from thermal sources, specifically natural gas. Even more specific, 80% from natural gas. Even more specific, 67 gigabytes. Look, Texas is known, and the politicians leading, mostly Republican politicians leading Texas, have known for 10 years this was going to be a problem. You might want to be the Lone Star State, but you don't want to be alone when it comes to the grid. I mean, we've seen that they have needed help from here in California, where I am, and other places. This was not just a political failure. This was a very bad choice when it comes to deregulating. And the governor of Texas can point his fingers at wind turbines all he wants, but that's not true. And B, in Antarctica, Mike, they use wind turbines, and it's a lot colder there. Although I will say, I just got off the phone with one of my best friends who lives in Houston, a great city I used to live in. It's 39 degrees in her house. Fortunately, she is staying with friends. People need help, and we really shouldn't make this just about politics and partisan griping, but we also need to have the facts, and the facts are 80% of it was natural gas.
My sense is there are people from all different political backgrounds, millions of them, who are very cold tonight and wanting answers from both sides, and we'll see where it goes. Texas farmer Robin Watts offered this assessment. Let's play it.
We're no stranger to cold weather. Here in Texas, we've had, I'm a native Texan, so we've dealt with plenty cold weather, plenty snow events, and plenty very cold weather over the decades that I've been around. And but this is the first time ever that we have one of these events where 25% of our power grid relies upon wind turbines. And when those wind turbines freeze, it puts us in a crisis.
Selena, your thoughts?
Well, she's correct, but there were also, to Leslie's point, there was problem transporting the natural gas. There was part of the natural gas was frozen, part of it was available, but the trucks couldn't use the highways because the highways were dangerous. So I think, and Texas is unique in that they're their own grid, and it falls within the state line. So that they're not regulated by the federal government. but they also were not prepared for lack of a better way of saying this, a perfect storm of everything not working. And so I think it's going to be weeks, maybe months before we fully understand this. But I think we really need to understand that as a whole country, because we can all be vulnerable to this kind of situation, whether it is extreme cold or heat or a hurricane or a storm or a tornado. All these things can impact our energy.
Selena, Leslie, I'm terribly sorry. We're out of time. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.